Hello students, peace be upon all of you. As you can see in the title of the video, in this video we will cover the Pythagorean Theorem. The Pythagorean Theorem is a theorem that was designated to help us find a missing side in a right triangle. Okay? So the Pythagorean Theorem, one thing you need to know about the Pythagorean Theorem is that it only works for right triangles. Okay? It doesn't work for any other triangles. Okay? So when we say the Pythagorean Theorem, we only apply to right triangles. Okay? It's only used to find a missing side in a right triangle. What is a right triangle? A right triangle is a triangle that has a 90-degree angle. So if the triangle you're looking at doesn't have a 90-degree angle, it is not a right triangle, and so we can't use the Pythagorean Theorem on it. Okay? But if it's if it has a 90-degree angle, if one angle, because a triangle has three sides, and so it has three angles. If one of the three angles has a 90-degree angle, then it's a right triangle. If none of the angles are 90 degree, if none of the three angles is a 90-degree angle, then it is not a right triangle. Okay? Remember that. It only works for right triangles. So if we have a triangle, right triangle, 90 degrees, okay? 90 degrees. Let's call this side here, let's call it A. Let's call this side here B, and let's call this side here C. These are two sides of the triangle. This side here is always the longest side. It's always the longest side in a right triangle. That long side in the right triangle, we call it the hypotenuse. We call it the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. Okay? It's the longest side in a right triangle, and we call it the hypotenuse. Now, the Pythagorean theorem, let's take a look at that. The Pythagorean theorem tells us that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And so that side squared plus that side squared, if you add them together, that would give you that side squared. Alright? Now that we know how the Pythagorean theorem works and how it looks on a right triangle, let's try to apply it, okay? If we have a right triangle here, okay, let's say this was 3 meters, okay? 3 meters, this was 4 meters. We're trying to find the missing side. The missing side. What is the missing side? That side is what? This is A, right? This is B. This has to be what? The missing side is C. We know that A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. And so, if we plug in these numbers into our theorem, we can easily find what? We can easily find the C. So, A is 3, so we put the 3 in, so 3 squared. B is what? Is 4, so we put the B inside here, so 4 squared. We'll plug these two numbers in, and then we have the C that we're gonna try to find, right? Now, 3 squared is what? It's 3 times 3, which is 9. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. And then you have the C squared. We add these two numbers together, that's a 25. We can take the square root here, or find the number that if you multiply by itself will give you 25. C squared. That means there's a number here that we square it will give us what? 25. What number squared will give you 25? It has to be a 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. 5 equals C. That gives us C, the missing side. So now we know the missing side, which is what? 5 meters right here. 5 meters equals C. Okay? The missing side is what? 5 meters. 5 meters. Make sure we put the sign here. Okay? Now, how about if we're missing the A? Same scenario. We're just gonna, instead of looking for the C, we're gonna look for the A, and we're gonna plug the other numbers into its own variables. Alright? Into their own variables. Alright. Now, let's try a different problem. How about if we have something like this, This is your hypotenuse. This is A, this is B, and this is your hypotenuse, which is what? C. Now, let's say this side here is what? Let's say this side was 6 feet. Let's say, sorry, let me fix my handwriting here. 6 feet. The C here was 10 feet. And then the B side. We're missing the B side. So this is going to be the missing side. The missing side. Which is what? B. So B is the missing side. This is going to be what? This is A. And this is going to be C. Alright? When you have the hypotenuse, C is always the hypotenuse. When you have these two sides, whenever you're able to define the hypotenuse, you can call this B, or you can call this A, or you can call this B and call this A. It doesn't matter which one you call A or B. But the hypotenuse has to be C, okay? As long as you're able to define the hypotenuse, it doesn't matter which side you call A or B. Okay? You can call this B, you can call this A, you can go, and just like I did here, you can call this A, and you can call this B. Okay? So, as long as you're able to define the hypotenuse, it doesn't matter which one you call A or B from these sides. Alright? So, we know that A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Awesome. Well, we have A, so 6 squared. B is the one we're looking for, so we're going to leave that. We're looking for B. And we have C. We put in 10 squared. Awesome. 6 squared is what? 6 times 6? 36. Plus B squared. What's 10 times 10? 10 squared is 100. Alright, now we have a simple equation to solve. In order to isolate B, what does isolate mean? We need to isolate B, make B by itself. We're trying to get B to be by itself. So, alright, in order for us to isolate B, we need to get rid of 36. So 36 here, in order to get rid of it, we subtract it. So we get rid of 36 here. Whatever I do on the left side, I have to do on the right side. So 100 minus 36 as well. So what's left here? On the left side, B squared is only left. On the right side, it's going to be 100 minus 64. What's 100 minus 64? Is 100 minus 36. What's 100 minus 36? It's 64. Alright? Now, what number that you square will give you 64? What is the number that if you square will give you 64? Or you can just take the square root, right? Take the square root of both sides. B has to be 8. So, B is what? B is 8 feet. 8 feet. 8 feet. Okay? Alright? This is B. So this is how we use the Pythagorean theorem to find what? To find the missing side in a right triangle. A right triangle. Remember, a right triangle. This has to be what? This is a 90-degree angle. Only works with a right triangle. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions, I would recommend that you go back to the part that was confusing. If anything is unclear, go back to the part of that is confusing, or replay the video. Okay? Thank you for watching. We'll see you next video.